Possibly the sexiest coupe SUV, the GLC Coupe, is on CNB. The Tata Tiago takes on the best-selling Maruti Celerio. And an introduction to the Indian National Rally Championship. Welcome to a brand new episode of CNB. There is plenty coming up, as you've already seen, and so we'll get straight to it. The GLC Coupe will be here from Mercedes-Benz to complement the GLC SUV. It arrives next year. We've already driven it. Here's our review.
The X6 since 2008 and then the smaller X4 since 2014 have got the cash registers ringing at BMW. Mercedes-Benz fired its GLE Coupe salvo last year, and now it's ready with the smaller GLC Coupe that will hit markets worldwide in 2017. We already drove the GLE Coupe and the car's been launched in India too. Now we're all set for the smaller coupe SUV from the three-pointed star. And I'm in North Italy's gorgeous Aosta Valley to test the car.
What a gorgeous sight, isn't it? That is the very famous Matterhorn Peak, just sitting on the other side of the border in Switzerland, 4,478 meters tall, that is, which is just under 15,000 feet. Now, it's called Monte Cervino here in Italy. Who knew? Something new that I picked up for sure, and wanted to show you that, and also tell you, by the way, that on this nice winding mountain road that I've been driving on, it's the only spot that you can see that mountain from. So I'm surprised that there aren't lots of other cars. Let's make the most of that. Also a good time to talk about the styling on the GLC Coupe. This is going to be something you have to get used to seeing. Lots of these coupe SUVs are going to make an appearance very soon. Not just from the premium brigade, but also from the mass brands. Even Mahindra is considering one, as you know. So really, just get used to seeing them. And when it comes to the premium brigade, Mercedes and BMW have the lead over everyone else. And so while Land Rover and Audi are now scrambling to catch up on it, they've already have multiple models. This one competes with the X4 here in Europe. The X4 is a car we're not going to be getting in India anytime soon, but the GLC Coupe will come. So that's a good thing. And I have to say that from a design point of view, it is the most proportionate coupe SUV that I can think of, and it is really nice to look at, especially at the rear. Yes, I'm saying that. The roof comes down nice and gentle. It's a short stubby boot, and yet it's not too tall. The rear also incorporates what's becoming like a hallmark of all coupes from Mercedes-Benz, car or SUV, and that's the nice tail light treatment. Looks really sharp. I'm not a fan though of this chrome strip on top. I think it's a little overdone. I get it, they're trying to break the monotony of all that metal, but could have done without it as far as I'm concerned. But the color looks great and the rear is very attractive. It's also, I think, because the car sits lower than the regular GLC, intentionally done, of course, by both the stylists and the engineers, because the lower height also gives the car a sportier dynamic.
In case you're wondering, the color is called Brilliant Blue, and so it's no surprise I love it, eh? The car I've got with me is the GLC 300 Coupe. Yes, that's the petrol, as that is what I'm told will be launched in India. The car is stylish for sure. It stands 1602 millimeters high and 4732 millimeters long. That means it is 42 millimeters lower and 80 millimeters longer than the regular GLC. Now, while the coupe will give you glimpses of the standard GLC, it's got its own unique shape, and so it isn't just the GLC with the rear lopped off. Even the A-pillar is more upright on this car to cater for the rear to be more proportionate and for that roof to have a gentle slope.
When you start driving the GLC Coupe, the first thing that grabs you, and this is, by the way, very different than how you feel when you drive the GLE and then the GLE Coupe. On this car, the first thing that grabs you is you feel like you're sitting a lot lower, so it feels sporty in its profile right from word go. Now, I have to say that that was not something I expected, so I didn't look into it before I started the drive, and so I have to now make sure that when I get back to check with the Mercedes engineers to say, hey, is that just a really cleverly redesigned seating position, or is the car substantially lower than the regular body style GLC? But I have to say, the fact that it is different is a good thing.
The location was perfect to test the agility of this car, as I got elevation changes and plenty of tight corners and hairpin bends to put it through the paces. And the car does impress.
Now push the car through the corners a little bit hard, and you know what? It holds on. It's very precise. Everything about the car is very German in that sense, because it is very precise, but the steering feels a little dead. It's got a little weight to it, which isn't really a lot of fun. I would have expected a little more feedback, especially in Sport Plus mode, which is missing. But otherwise, it does everything you want it to. It hangs on nicely in the corners, and in Sport Plus mode, you get the longer gears, so it kind of holds on to a gear just a little bit more. Again, urging you to just push the car and maybe, push the pedal a little bit more as well.
It also sounds pretty good, I have to say. The engine has an energetic note and it gets you excited with its high-pitched growl. The 2-litre engine is ample and efficient, and the generous torque kicks in nice and low. The 9-speed auto is becoming standard now across the new Mercedes range. The standard 4MATIC all-wheel system transfers all that torque to all 4 wheels efficiently and quickly. It is too early to guess whether or not the air body control air suspension will come to India. I did try it out when I drove the 250D briefly, but I have to say that the standard dynamic control is actually pretty good.
The Mercedes says that this car is a lot more dynamic than the regular GLC, which means that it's not just 1 or 2 parameters that have been tinkered with. In every aspect, they've tried to make the car a lot more sporty. And so even when you look at the different suspension settings and of course the different driving modes, so for example, if you put it in comfort or eco or of course sport and sport plus, for each of those modes, Mercedes says that each one is a little more dynamic and a little more sporty than its counterpart on the regular GLC. Well, I can't really vouch for that, given today's driving experience doesn't involve the regular GLC, but having driven that car fairly extensively, I can tell you that it does definitely come across as a lot more sporty and a lot more fun.
The GLC Coupe will arrive in India in the second half of 2017, and yes, we will be getting the GLC 300 Coupe. I do hope the arrival of the GLC Coupe and then after that the Audi Q2 will help spur BMW into bringing us the X4 too.
Now, if you want to catch up on the review and maybe watch it again or even just read the text review, you can get that on carandbike.com. In fact, there's so much more on our website that you can look at, all the stories that are trending, who's looking at what story, and all the latest news. And besides that, of course, remember that there's lots and lots of other things that the site offers you in terms of many features. The new cars, the new bikes, of course, our reviews. You can also configure your own vehicle to figure out what you should be buying. And with that context, if you can't decide between a couple of cars or maybe even 3 cars, well, you can compare certain products too. So let's take a look at a very popular comparison that a lot of you keep asking me about these days, and that's in the entry car space. Now, when it comes to hatchbacks, the competition is always pretty immense. So the Tata Tiago is the new car that has just driven in and is challenging a lot of the existing rivals there. And one of the key rivals it needs to take on is, of course, that car, the Maruti Suzuki Celerio. So you can do that. You can compare the 2 cars, take a look at their specs, their prices, how they match up, and What's more, we'll also of course do a lot more than simply show you a comparison table. We'll of course drive them for you and test them for you as well. So take a look at this comparison now between the Tiago and the best-selling Celerio.
Tata Motors forayed into the small hatchback segment with this, the Tiago. While it's a refreshing change to the entire portfolio, what Tata managed to do is undercut all its rivals by pricing it just right, even the petrol and the diesel. But by that time, Maruti Suzuki already had a car in that lineup and had already introduced one with a diesel engine, that's the Celerio. So we're checking out how one diesel pits against the other. Check out our review.
Cars for people who want low running costs as a priority. The Celerio and Tiago certainly fit the bill. Maruti Suzuki has been selling an average of 6,000 units of the Celerio every month, and Tata Motors has just about broken the 4,000 units mark in June. So the Celerio has been more popular, but the Tiago is still relatively new. And as we've said before, offers features and space of a bigger hatch while operating in the Celerio's value range. Make them stand side by side and you'll see how young the Tiago looks. The Celerio is quite bland and neutral, and the Tiago wins on design appeal. And that's true inside too. The cabin on the Tiago is well laid out, and though it's not as wide as the Celerio, it still comes across as quite spacious. The thing that comes across is the much improved material quality to the interior fit at Tata. There's lots of storage space too, but the Celerio matches the Tiago here. The Celerio gets a dual tone theme, which adds a bit of color to the cabin. But when you compare the quality of the material used, yet again the Tiago triumphs. The front seats on the Celerio are comfortable and the legroom at the rear impresses. The lack of leg and headroom at the rear is a sticking point on the Tiago. In fact, the lack of thigh support on all seats will make travelling long distances a little painful. What is also painful is the sound of the Celerio's engine. Rev it above 3000 RPM and the sound becomes shrill, which is obviously not great. On the diesel Celerio, the 2-cylinder turbo diesel engine makes just 47 brake horsepower. However, there's a respectable 125 Nm of torque on offer. The Tiago gets a bigger 1047cc 3-cylinder engine, which is good enough for 69 brake horsepower and 140 Nm of torque, so it has got the upper hand on output. But the Celerio is lighter by nearly 180 kilograms, and this means it's a bit more agile. The Tiago has more pulling power than the Celerio, which helps it sprint. But we wish it had more power in the mid-range, as you're left helpless post 3000 RPM. What we also noticed was the clutch, brake and accelerator pedals were a bit closer to each other than on the Celerio, which is why you have to be careful and get the footwork right. The ride on the Celerio is firmer, and so there's a bit of kickback when you go through a pothole. The Tiago, however, takes in its stride and makes for a good driving experience on the whole. On the petrol side of things, the Celerio gets a 998cc 3-cylinder engine which churns out 67 bhp, while the Tiago gets an 1199cc 83 bhp rev-trim engine. Both cars get tons of features, and the list includes power windows, steering mounted audio controls, height adjustable driver's seats, tilt adjust for the steering wheel, audio system with USB, Bluetooth and auxiliary input. Now all these features are available on the top end variant, but the Tiago makes things further by adding rear parking sensors and a cool glove box. The Tiago gets a better sounding audio system, as it includes 4 speakers and 4 tweeters, which give you an all-round aural experience. Hook up the infotainment to your smartphone and the Tiago system will relay sat-nav instructions, which is quite a good and rare feature in this segment. On the safety front, the top-of-the-line variants of both cars offer dual airbags and ABS. None offer anything on the base though, sadly. In the battle of fuel economy though, the diesel Celerio wins hands down as it holds the record of an ARAI test economy figure of 27.62 km per litre. The Tiago is a very close second with 27.28 km per litre to its name. The Celerio diesel starts at 4,84,000 rupees and goes all the way up to 5,90,000 rupees. This is where Tata brings in more to the table as it undercuts the Celerio. The Tiago costs 3,84,000 rupees and go all the way up to rupees 5,54,000 rupees, which make it quite a good deal. The Celerio with a petrol engine starts at 4 lakh right up to 5,10,000 rupees, with the AMT price between 5,40,000 rupees to 5,23,000 rupees, while the Tiago petrol costs between 3,20,000 to 4,81,000 rupees. And so, if it wasn't obvious already, Tata has certainly managed to set a new benchmark in this segment with the Tiago, and it's certainly the deserving winner in this contest. The 2016 season of the FMSCI Indian National Rally Championship has kicked off with the Rally of Coimbatore on the outskirts of the picturesque city in Tamil Nadu. The Indian National Rally Championship or INRC is held from July to November every year and comprises 5 rallies. The championship first received its national championship title status in 1988. The Rally of Coimbatore had 6 stages in and around Kittanur, on the outskirts of Coimbatore. 39 teams from all over the country competed in the rally. The Rally of Coimbatore covered around 200 kilometers in all, and that which included 75 kilometers of cordoned-off driving tracks on gravel roads. The routes of the tracks were closed sections of public and private roads. The driving tracks were divided into 6 stages on off-road and gravel tracks. Huge crowds gathered to witness the glory of these rally drivers and their fast cars. Gaurav Gill and co-driver Musa Sharif of Mahindra Adventure was stuck with bad luck as their Super XUV faced mechanical issues in the very first special stage, forcing them to retire. Gill was permitted to rejoin the rally later but could not score any points. Amit Raj Ghosh and Ashwin Naik in their XUV overcame tough competition to claim victory with an overall time of 1 hour 3 minutes, followed by Sunny Sidhu and Srinivas Murthy PV from Team Mahindra. Amit Raj Ghosh and Ashwin Naik from Team Mahindra Adventure in their XUV overcame tough competition to claim victory with an overall time of 1 hour 3 minutes 14 seconds, followed by Sunny Sidhu and Srinivas Murthy PV, also from Team Mahindra Adventure, as the first runner-up, with independent driver Dean Mascarenhas and his navigator Shanmuga SN as the second runner-up team. The Indian National Rally Championship now heads to Nashik for the second round of the 5-event season.
And with that, we're going to wrap up today's show. Remember, that's something new that you can look out for right here as a brand new program that's coming from us. Besides that, we also have another new show that's going on stream, which sees a lot of people pitting their wits and their efforts against each other in the battle to, find a way to the Paris Motor Show. What am I talking about? Take a glimpse of that show as well as I say goodbye to you, and I will see you next week. Please wear your seatbelts, wear your helmets.
Are you a history geek, an adrenaline junkie, or a master off-roader? Send us your entries and stand a chance to get on a wild escapade across unknown terrain. That ends with an all-expenses-paid trip to the 2016 Paris Motor Show and all the shiny wheels at the Renault stand.
Renault Duster India Adventures, coming soon only on NDTV Prime.